What many men misunderstand is that women are not primarily searching for perfection, status, or even constant romance, but for emotional certainty that the man beside them is grounded, reliable, and self assured. Security, in this sense, does not mean money alone, although resources can play a role, but rather the feeling that his presence is stable and his intentions are clear. When a woman senses consistency in behavior, she relaxes emotionally because unpredictability is what creates anxiety inside attachment. Confidence becomes attractive not because of ego, but because it signals leadership, direction, and psychological safety. A man who knows himself removes the burden of uncertainty from her mind, which is deeply comforting. This is why indecision often damages attraction more than failure ever could. Clarity creates trust, and trust creates desire. Many men assume women want endless attention, yet what truly matters is meaningful attention paired with emotional presence. Anyone can send messages or offer compliments, but depth comes from understanding her experiences, reactions, and unspoken feelings. When she feels seen beyond surface appearance, a stronger connection forms because emotional recognition satisfies something fundamental inside her psychology. Superficial gestures lose impact quickly if they are not backed by sincerity. Women respond more intensely to authenticity than to rehearsed charm because intuition often detects inconsistency faster than logic explains it. This is why forced behavior eventually collapses under pressure. Genuine engagement always outlasts performance. Attraction for women often grows through emotional experience rather than instant visual impact alone, which differs from how many men interpret desire. The way a man makes her feel during conversations, conflicts, or shared moments becomes more influential than physical traits over time. Emotional memory creates attachment because feelings linger longer than appearances. A man who can create excitement, calm, curiosity, or admiration within her mind becomes memorable in ways others cannot replicate. This explains why charisma sometimes outweighs conventional attractiveness. Emotional stimulation becomes the foundation of lasting interest. Feeling alive around someone is powerful. Respect plays a central role in female attraction, sometimes even more than affection itself. A woman may care deeply for a man, but if she loses respect for his character, decisions, or boundaries, attraction begins fading quietly. Respect grows when she observes discipline, integrity, and self-control, especially during stressful situations. Emotional stability signals strength, which subconsciously reassures her about long-term partnership potential. Weakness here does not mean vulnerability, but rather lack of direction or inability to manage life responsibly. When admiration disappears, desire often follows. Respect sustains romantic energy. Women are highly responsive to effort, not because they demand constant proving, but because effort demonstrates priority. Time, attention, planning, and thoughtful gestures communicate that she matters within his world. When effort declines drastically, she interprets it as declining interest, even if he feels comfortable instead. Comfort without intention can look like neglect from her perspective. Maintaining attraction requires continued investment, not dramatic acts, but consistent engagement. Small actions repeated regularly build stronger bonds than rare grand gestures. Consistency communicates commitment. Emotional safety remains one of the strongest desires women carry, although many cannot articulate it directly. Safety means she can express thoughts without ridicule, share vulnerabilities without punishment, and exist without constant fear of abandonment. A man who reacts with patience instead of volatility creates an environment where intimacy deepens naturally. Harsh reactions, dismissiveness, or emotional unpredictability damage this foundation quickly. Trust grows where judgment decreases. Once safety exists, affection expands effortlessly. Peace becomes addictive. Challenge also plays an important role, which creates confusion for many men who believe constant accommodation guarantees attraction. If a man removes all tension by always agreeing, always chasing, and always prioritizing her above himself, mystery disappears. Humans naturally value what feels earned rather than guaranteed, and women are not exceptions to this psychological principle. Healthy challenge signals independence and self-respect, which increases perceived value. Balance between warmth and autonomy creates intrigue. Predictability without depth becomes boring. Desire thrives where curiosity survives. Women are deeply influenced by emotional momentum, meaning how a relationship feels recently often outweighs historical effort. A man may have done many positive things previously, yet consistent recent disappointment can overshadow past memories. Emotional recency shapes perception strongly because feelings are experienced in the present moment. This explains sudden shifts that seem confusing from outside perspectives. Momentum works positively too, where consistent good experiences amplify attraction rapidly. Relationships function like emotional climates rather than static states. Current energy matters most. Communication style affects attraction more than many realize, particularly tone, confidence, and intention behind words. What is said matters, yet how it is delivered often matters more. Calm certainty creates reassurance, while hesitation can create doubt even when content remains similar. Women read emotional subtext naturally, detecting insecurity or conviction quickly. This sensitivity evolved through social awareness and relational intelligence. Words backed by congruent behavior build credibility. Inconsistency weakens trust immediately. A woman wants to feel chosen, not merely available, which means she senses when she holds genuine importance within his priorities. Being an option produces insecurity, while being valued produces loyalty. Actions demonstrate selection more powerfully than verbal declarations alone. Prioritization shows where she stands in his life hierarchy. When she feels secure in that position, emotional investment increases. Ambiguity reduces attachment. Clarity strengthens bonds. Independence in a man often increases attraction because it removes pressure from the relationship dynamic. A man with purpose, friendships, goals, and self-direction brings energy rather than dependency. Women often feel drawn towards someone who enhances their life rather than relying entirely on them for fulfillment. Independence signals capability and confidence simultaneously. It also prevents emotional suffocation, which can destroy desire. Space maintains polarity. Autonomy fuels attraction. Emotional intelligence becomes one of the most powerful qualities because it allows a man to navigate conflict without escalation. Disagreements are inevitable, yet how he responds determines whether connection strengthens or weakens. Listening, acknowledging feelings, and responding thoughtfully create resolution rather than resentment. Women often remember how conflicts felt more than what caused them initially. A calm presence during tension builds enormous trust. Emotional maturity creates long-term attraction. Stability feels safe. Women often seek alignment in values and direction more than identical personalities. Shared vision about lifestyle, priorities, and future plans creates compatibility that sustains relationships over time. Differences in hobbies or traits matter less when core direction matches. Misalignment creates friction regardless of attraction levels. Harmony in purpose reduces conflict significantly. Partnership becomes easier when moving toward similar destinations. Direction determines longevity. Consistency builds emotional attachment because predictability creates comfort within uncertainty of life. A man whose behavior changes dramatically based on mood or circumstances creates confusion. Reliability signals trustworthiness, which is essential for deeper bonding. When she knows what to expect emotionally, she relaxes into connection rather than guarding herself. Consistency does not mean monotony, but stability in character. Emotional reliability builds loyalty. Trust grows steadily. Women also respond strongly to growth, meaning observing a man improving himself over time increases admiration. Effort toward goals, discipline in habits, and willingness to evolve demonstrate ambition. Stagnation often reduces attraction because it signals lack of future momentum. Growth creates excitement about shared possibilities. Progress inspires confidence in partnership potential. Development sustains admiration. Movement creates energy. Protection, both emotional and physical, remains an instinctive desire rooted deeply in human psychology. Protection does not mean aggression, but reassurance that he can handle challenges responsibly. Competence during difficult situations creates security. Knowing he can remain composed under pressure strengthens attachment. Leadership in uncertain moments builds trust naturally. Strength combined with kindness feels powerful. Safety attracts. Women value feeling understood, not fixed, which many men misunderstand when offering solutions instead of empathy. Sometimes emotional validation matters more than problem solving. Listening attentively communicates care more effectively than advice. Feeling heard reduces emotional distance immediately. Understanding builds intimacy. Presence matters more than answers. Connection grows through empathy. Mystery and novelty maintain attraction because predictability without excitement can lead to emotional stagnation. Shared experiences, surprises, and new environments create dopamine responses associated with bonding. Routine alone cannot sustain passion indefinitely. Variety refreshes emotional engagement. Exploration strengthens connection. Excitement fuels desire. Novelty maintains interest. Ultimately, what women want cannot be reduced to a single trait, but many desires converge around emotional security combined with admiration. Feeling safe while respecting the man beside her creates powerful attachment. Confidence, consistency, effort, and emotional presence form the foundation. Attraction thrives where stability meets excitement. Relationships succeed where understanding replaces assumption. Depth outperforms surface qualities. Connection grows intentionally. The brutal truth is not that women are complicated, but that attraction responds to behavior more than words. A man's actions, emotional control, and self-direction communicate far more than promises ever could. When behavior aligns with confidence and respect, desire grows naturally without manipulation. When inconsistency appears, attraction declines regardless of intentions. Understanding this removes confusion and replaces it with clarity. Women respond to energy that feels secure, grounded, and intentional. That is often the only thing they truly want. One of the hardest realities for many men to accept is that women are not primarily drawn to kindness alone, but to strength expressed through character, direction, and emotional stability. Kindness without backbone often feels comforting yet uninspiring, while strength without warmth feels intimidating rather than attractive. The combination of both creates polarity, which fuels desire at a deeper psychological level. A woman wants to feel that the man beside her can handle life, make decisions, and remain composed under pressure without collapsing emotionally. This does not mean perfection, but reliability in mindset and behavior. When she senses grounded energy, attraction grows almost automatically because safety and admiration merge together. Strength becomes magnetic when paired with empathy. Another truth is that women are highly sensitive to how a man feels about himself, because self-perception radiates outward through body language, tone, and decisions. Confidence cannot be convincingly faked long-term, since insecurity leaks through hesitation, overcompensation, or neediness. When a man respects himself, maintains standards, and protects his boundaries, she instinctively recognizes value. That recognition creates intrigue because humans naturally gravitate toward individuals who appear internally secure. Self-doubt, on the other hand, creates friction because it signals instability in leadership and direction. Women often respond less to external status and more to internal certainty. Energy communicates more than words ever will. Emotional control plays a massive role in attraction, especially during stressful or uncertain moments where true character becomes visible. A man who reacts impulsively, becomes easily irritated, or loses composure quickly introduces unpredictability into the relationship dynamic. Unpredictability generates anxiety, which quietly erodes emotional safety over time. Conversely, calm responses during conflict signal maturity, competence, and psychological resilience. Women feel drawn toward men who can navigate chaos without becoming chaotic themselves. Stability during storms builds trust faster than affection during peace. Emotional discipline becomes deeply attractive. Many women desire to feel special rather than interchangeable, which means effort and attention must feel intentional rather than routine. When a man treats her like just another option, emotional investment declines because exclusivity creates value. Personalization in behavior, remembering details, and showing thoughtful awareness communicate that she occupies a meaningful place in his life. Humans crave significance, and women are no exception to this universal need. Feeling chosen creates loyalty, while feeling replaceable creates distance. Intentional attention builds connection stronger than constant availability. Quality outweighs quantity. There is also a psychological truth that challenge increases attraction, because certainty without effort often reduces perceived value. When a man maintains his own life, priorities, and standards instead of orbiting entirely around her, he signals independence. Independence creates curiosity, which fuels desire through uncertainty and anticipation. Over-accommodation, excessive chasing, or constant reassurance can unintentionally reduce attraction because tension disappears completely. Healthy relationships balance closeness with individuality, warmth with autonomy. Mystery survives where self-focus exists. Desire grows in that space. Women also respond strongly to ambition, not necessarily financial success alone, but forward movement toward meaningful goals. Progress signals future potential, which subconsciously connects to security and stability. A man who remains stagnant for long periods without direction may unintentionally trigger concern about long-term partnership viability. Growth creates excitement because it suggests life will evolve rather than stagnate. Motivation becomes contagious energy that influences attraction. Purpose adds depth to personality. Direction creates confidence. Another brutal truth is that attraction can fade when emotional connection becomes predictable without stimulation. Routine comfort feels safe, yet excessive predictability removes excitement that initially sparked interest. Shared adventures, novelty, and spontaneous experiences refresh emotional chemistry by activating dopamine responses associated with bonding. Relationships require maintenance of excitement alongside stability. Comfort alone cannot sustain passion indefinitely. Variety reactivates emotional engagement. Energy must keep moving. Respect often determines whether attraction survives challenges, because admiration fuels romantic desire more than affection alone. A woman may love someone deeply, yet if she begins losing respect for his decisions, habits, or discipline, emotional distance forms quickly. Respect grows when actions align with values, promises are kept, and self-control remains consistent. Observing integrity builds admiration, which reinforces attraction even during difficult periods. Without respect, affection struggles to survive long-term. Character matters more than charm. Consistency builds admiration. Women frequently seek emotional partnership rather than dependency, meaning they want connection without feeling responsible for carrying the relationship alone. When a man relies heavily on her for validation, direction, or emotional regulation, imbalance develops. Balanced interdependence feels healthier because both individuals contribute strength. Emotional self-sufficiency increases attractiveness because it removes pressure. Partnership thrives when both bring stability instead of seeking rescue. Strength complements strength. Equality builds harmony. Communication style influences attraction significantly, particularly clarity and confidence in expression. Ambiguity creates confusion, while directness creates certainty about intentions. Women often appreciate men who express thoughts openly without excessive hesitation or avoidance. Honest communication signals courage and authenticity. Hidden feelings or passive behavior can create emotional distance even when affection exists. Transparency builds trust faster than charm. Clarity reduces anxiety. Another overlooked truth is that women often evaluate long-term potential subconsciously, even in early stages of dating. Observing how a man handles responsibility, relationships with others, and personal challenges provides clues about future behavior. Reliability in small matters suggests reliability in larger ones. Inconsistency raises concern because patterns tend to repeat over time. Women naturally scan for signals of stability and character. Behavior predicts future more than promises. Actions reveal intention. Emotional presence during difficult moments carries enormous weight because support during vulnerability builds deeper attachment than happiness during easy times. A man who remains attentive when she struggles demonstrates commitment beyond surface attraction. Absence during hardship weakens bonds quickly because it signals conditional care. Reliability under pressure strengthens loyalty. Shared adversity often deepens connection. Presence matters most when it is hardest. Support builds trust. Women also respond to leadership, not dominance, but the ability to take initiative and create direction within situations. Planning experiences, making decisions confidently, and guiding outcomes reduce mental load she might otherwise carry. Leadership signals competence and certainty, which feel reassuring. Indecision can create frustration because it transfers responsibility onto her unnecessarily. Initiative demonstrates engagement and confidence simultaneously. Direction creates momentum. Momentum feels attractive. Physical attraction still matters, yet emotional and psychological factors often determine whether it grows or fades over time. Appearance may spark interest initially, but behavior sustains or destroys desire long term. Confidence, humor, intelligence, and emotional depth frequently outweigh purely visual factors after connection develops. Attraction evolves through experience rather than remaining static. Emotional memory influences desire strongly. Personality amplifies physical appeal. Depth sustains attraction. Women often want reassurance without needing constant words, meaning behavior must align with verbal promises. Inconsistency between speech and action creates distrust quickly. Reliability over time builds security without needing excessive affirmation. Predictable care becomes comforting. Trust grows gradually through repetition. Alignment creates confidence. Consistency reassures silently. Another reality is that boundaries increase respect because a man who tolerates everything without limits may appear lacking self-worth. Healthy boundaries demonstrate standards and self-respect, which often increase admiration. Saying no when necessary communicates confidence. Over-accommodation reduces perceived value unintentionally. Limits create structure within relationships. Structure feels secure. Respect follows boundaries. Emotional polarity plays a role in attraction, meaning differences in energy create tension that fuels desire. Masculine direction combined with feminine receptivity often produces natural chemistry, regardless of personality specifics. When roles blur excessively, attraction sometimes weakens because polarity diminishes. Balance between energies maintains excitement. Complementary dynamics create harmony. Contrast generates spark. Polarity sustains passion. Women also appreciate emotional growth, meaning willingness to learn, improve, and adapt strengthens connection. Stubborn refusal to evolve can create distance because relationships require adjustment over time. Openness demonstrates maturity and humility. Growth together deepens bonds. Adaptability creates resilience. Evolution sustains connection. Progress builds admiration. The deepest truth may be that women want to feel emotionally secure while still feeling excitement toward the man beside them. Stability without stimulation becomes boring, while stimulation without stability becomes chaotic. The combination creates lasting attraction. Confidence, effort, leadership, empathy, and consistency all contribute to that balance. Relationships thrive when both safety and excitement exist simultaneously. Harmony emerges from duality. Balance sustains love. Ultimately, female nature is not mysterious but responsive to emotional experiences created within the relationship. Behavior, energy, and character shape attraction more than external factors alone. When a man embodies direction, stability, and authenticity, desire often grows naturally without manipulation. When those qualities disappear, attraction declines regardless of intentions. Understanding this removes confusion and replaces it with clarity. Women respond to how they feel with someone more than what he says. Experience defines attraction.